Hi everybody, welcome back. It's time now for Lesson 1, Class 2, and we'll be combining some of the structures that you learned in the previous lesson with me about how to use the future tense in a few different ways, together with some idioms, expressions, and especially phrasal verbs that we use to talk about travel and getting around in general. Phrasal verbs are a very mysterious topic for a lot of students. I know that you're really anxious to learn more and more of them, so hopefully some of these will help you. Of course, there are thousands of them, but you have to start somewhere, right? Let's take a look at these expressions. We have check in and check out, get on and get off, pick up and drop off. Those are three sets of phrasal verbs that actually you can use basically as opposites. If you think about them like opposites, it's kind of helpful to remember them. Check in and check out. When we check in to a hotel, for example, that means you go up to the front desk, you sign your name, I suppose you give them your identification or something like this, and begin your stay at the hotel. And the opposite of that is when you come downstairs, pay up all your bills, collect your luggage, and leave the hotel. For example, Keun will be checking in on the 4th and checking out on the 6th. If you call a hotel to make a reservation, they usually ask you when is your check-in, when is your check-out. And it's helpful when you have knowledge of this vocabulary so you can just get through that conversation and enjoy your stay, right? Another thing about check in and check out that students have asked me about before is that it relates also to other topics like if you go to the DVD store to rent a DVD or a video, you check in and check out those materials also. If you go to the library, you check out a book, and that means you're taking the book out and bringing it out of the library, and you'll bring it back later on, I suppose, check it in. But the most common place that we see this is when we're talking about traveling. You check in and check out at the hotel, and check in and check out at certain points in the airport too. So I guess that's going to be very helpful to you for your travels. The next set is get on and get off. This could be used for international travel, but also is mostly used when you're talking about local travel. To get on the bus, the train, whatever like this, it means you are just now arriving at your mode of transportation and beginning your trip. So when you get there and you arrive at your destination, you get off of that thing. Does that make sense? I suppose yes. However, there is a very tricky exception. Let's take a look at this. Get in is used only for your car. You don't get on your car, you get in your car. And you don't get off of your car, you get out of your car. Pay very close attention to this because it's really pretty tricky, and it's the only exception. You can get on a bus, a train, a plane, a bicycle, a skateboard, a surfboard, a unicycle, whatever it is you want. But when it comes to cars, it is get in and get out. So let's take a look at an example of get on and get off. I would say Serena gets on the train at Park Street and gets off the train at Harvard Square to go to school. So there's a very simple local transportation kind of example that we can look at. In the city, we use the trains and buses every day, so it's really helpful. The next set of phrasal verbs is here, pick up and drop off. And to pick up, we have a lot of expressions. For example, I have to pick up my pen from the table, pick up my coffee from the saucer, for example, like that. But when we're talking about traveling, we say pick up means when somebody takes you someplace in a vehicle. So for example, the bus picks me up in front of my house. That means that the bus stop is near my house, and that is where I get on the bus, okay? So we can use these two phrasal verbs in combination like this. The bus picks me up in front of my house. I get on the bus at about 8:30. Right? You can see them both working there in slightly different ways. Talking about the opposite of that, which is drop off. And drop off means when you get to the end of your trip and you exit the vehicle. It could be any vehicle at all. You'd say, the bus picks me up in front of my house and drops me off near the school. Okay, so that's how we use those things. All these phrasal verbs sound very similar, so they're kind of confusing because of the prepositions. They seem so similar, but you can get it if you really focus. Let's look at an example, finally, of the pick up and drop off. Greg is going to pick up Turad at school and drop him off at the airport today, right? Greg is going to pick up Turad at school and drop him off at the airport today. There's an example of a person, a friend actually, picking you up and taking you someplace, and then you get out of the car, say goodbye, and that's the end of your trip, right? And if you pay attention to all of these sentences we've been using, especially this one, Greg is going to pick Turad up and drop him off today. This is a future situation, but like we talked about in previous lessons, we're using is going to, like this, which is just one of the many choices that we can use to make the future. Besides these phrasal verbs, let me give you just a couple of more expressions that we could use when you're talking about traveling, particularly international traveling. Boarding, delayed, and last call. These are three words that are super handy when you are traveling in an airplane, because we hear these words a lot in the lobby over the loudspeaker. Trains and buses use them too, but I think super common when you're in the airport. Let's take a look at these. Boarding means what? What do you think? Boarding. It means getting on the plane or getting on the train. So using this phrasal verb from a few minutes ago, we say, I am getting on the train. I am now boarding. If you hear an announcement in a station and they say flight 1 is now boarding, that means you better put down your coffee, pick up your bags, and get on the plane, right? Delayed is a very common word, but not a very popular word, because it basically means late. So if you're in an airport and you hear flight 1 has been delayed, that means you just have to wait longer before you can get on the plane, go to your destination, check into your hotel, and have a nice holiday, right? And the last word that we're going to look at is a phrase, actually, last call. And it means when you are finally, the plane or the train is about to leave. It means you have no more time. That is the final moment that you can actually get on it. If you hear this word last call, you better stop everything and get on that vehicle. It's actually later than boarding. So first they say boarding, then they say last call. One comment about last call is that it's also very popularly used in bars and in discos or nightclubs. When somebody says last call, it also means there's only a few more moments left to get another drink. Whether you drink beer or martinis or soda or milk, they're basically telling you, you don't have any more time, this is last call, so buy your drinks now or forget about it. Just like we talked about with the plane, get on the plane now or forget about your trip. So hopefully these expressions will be useful to you. Take a close look at those phrasal verbs. Try to remember the differences between the prepositions. And hopefully next time you travel, you'll be able to use some of them. And hopefully also they'll help you, enjoy your vacation a little bit better and have an easier time traveling. So that's it. Thank you very much for your time. Good luck remembering all of that stuff, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.